I hereby call this meeting of the Resolutions Committee to order. Hi, I'm Yolanda Bejarano, and I serve as co-chair of the Resolutions Committee alongside my friend, my co-chair, Ron Harris from Minnesota. And I want to extend my gratitude to the members of the Resolutions Committee joining us today as we consider resolutions that support the policies of our party or honor the lives of recently deceased prominent Democrats. It's really an honor to serve with you on this committee, and I look forward to the work ahead. I also want to thank the members who have submitted resolutions and those members who have indicated their support for various proposed resolutions by signing on as co-sponsors. Per our rules, any DNC member who wanted to co-sponsor a resolution had to advise the Secretary's office and party affairs prior to this meeting. All members who indicated their interest in co-sponsoring a resolution by the initial August 6th deadline were added to the resolutions sent in the Secretary's 7-day mailing. Any additional members who have signed on as co-sponsors after the deadline and prior to this meeting will be added and included in the packet that will be distributed to the members from the Secretary's office via email ahead of the general session. As we get underway, please join me in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And with that, I'll pass it over to my co-chair.
Well, good morning, everybody. We are going to do the call of the roll. I would like to acknowledge our distinguished parliamentarian, Helen McFadden. At this time, I will ask Helen to call the roll, and she will be available to answer any questions we may have during today's committee meeting. Over to you, Helen.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Adams. Mr. Alonso. Mr. Bagby. Ms. Beal. Ms. Presinio. Ms. Burke. Mr. Christensen.
Present.
Ms. Cook. Ms. Cotton. Ms. Cunningham Skirnick. Ms. Dannenberg. Mr. Folks. Mr. Hackett has given his proxy to Mr. Park. Mr. Hawk. Ms. Herrera. Mr. Hurto. Ms. Hoffa. Mr. Johnson has given his proxy to Lee Williams. Mr. Jones. Ms. Kuntz. Ms. Krishnan. Mr. Lee.
Present.
Mr. Lemke. Ms. Mast. Mr. Mehta. Mr. Merrill. Mr. Neary has given his proxy to Ms. Kuntz. Mr. Park.
Here.
Ms. Pickens. Ms. Reeves has given her proxy to Mr. Harris. Ms. Reeves Chong. Here. Ms. Schaefer. Here. Ms. Shackelford has given her proxy to Ms. Cotton. Mr. Soltz. Mr. Strader. Here. Ms. Swan. Here. Mr. Townley has given his proxy to Mr. Mata. Mr. Verdejo. Ms. Verdi has given her proxy to Ms. Barano. I messed that up, sorry. Mr. Vilches Santiago has given his proxy to Mr. Zaxon. Ms. Williams? Mr. Woodard? Mr. Zaxon? Okay. I understand that Mr. Merrill has filed a proxy to Ms. Hoffa, and I failed to tell you that. It's all right. This certainly is quorum, Mr. Chairman.
All right, thank you so much, Helen. Per our charter and bylaws, a quorum is constituted by 40% or 19 resolutions committee members present in person or by proxy. Before we get started with the business of the meeting, again, my name is Ron Harris, your co-chair from Minnesota. We'd like to quickly update you on the Middle East Working Group's plans, since we referred some resolutions from our last meeting to that Middle East Working Group. The group continues to meet and has sketched out a plan to hold a series of sessions with affinity groups, with pollsters, policy experts, and others. And members will have the opportunities to both listen to these sessions and contribute questions. So all of this will be geared towards delivering a report to the chair by the winter meeting focused on how we as a party can best engage the communities that care so deeply about these topics. Before I hand it back to my chairwoman Yoli, I just want to say one thing, that acknowledging that this has been a hard year to do this work, this political work that we're all brought together to do. We're almost at the end of a grueling primary season. I know members of this committee has been holding your communities through fear or through cuts to programs that people depend on, or through the demonization of every value that we hold dear, or even just your own personal family problems. I was talking to somebody this morning about taking care of an aging parent and all the challenges that come with that. I won't pretend that any of this has been easy. But then I take a look at what's in our folders. 32 resolutions written by members who still believe that this party can say something true and mean it. People don't write resolutions for a party that they've given up on. They write them, though, for a party that they expect something from. And I must expect a lot because I wrote 5 of them myself. So that's the spirit I'd like to bring to this morning, that every resolution represents a Democrat somewhere in the country who believes in our party and believes these processes actually mean something. So I'm really proud of this committee. I'm really proud of your work. And thank you for always treating this work like it matters, because it does. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Co-Chair. According to the schedule of meetings, we have until 11 a.m. to complete our business today. As Co-Chair mentioned, we have 32 proposed message resolutions and 14 commemorative resolutions to consider. I would ask that we keep sponsors' remarks to 1 minute, any comments on resolutions to 30 seconds, and that we remain conscious of time that we have remaining. I will recognize the next member to speak after a member has spoken for 30 seconds. All right, so you each have an agenda and a packet of the proposed resolutions in their folder. That includes the additional commemorative resolution. Pursuant to our bylaws, resolutions on matter of policy and principle consistent with the DNC platform that were properly submitted by the 21-day deadline were sent to DNC members in the Secretary's 14-day mailing. And before we begin, I will note that 2 resolutions on policies not addressed in the Democratic Party platform adopted by the 2024 Democratic National Convention were ruled out of order. Additionally, pursuant to Section A5 of the DNC Resolutions Committee Rules of Procedure, any resolution calling for a change in the charter and bylaws of the DNC must be submitted to the DNC Rules and Bylaws Committee for consideration. Accordingly, a resolution calling for the official formation and recognition of the Jewish Caucus by the Democratic National Committee, DNC, submitted to the Resolutions Committee has been accepted by the Rules and Bylaws Committee due to the necessary amendment to the DNC Charter and Bylaws and the fact that the Resolutions Committee is not empowered to create caucuses. Now, as we consider each resolution, staff will display the resolution on the screen, and being able to view the resolutions in real time will allow us to see any amendments as they are proposed. We will discuss the resolutions in the order you find them in the packet. Are there any questions before we begin? Okay, seeing none, let's begin with resolution number 1. A resolution highlighting Democrats' vision to lower costs end corruption, and restore the American dream. The chair will now entertain a motion to recommend this resolution for approval. Is there a second? Is there any discussion? Seeing none, we'll vote on recommending the resolution as printed. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. Any abstentions? The ayes have it. Resolution number 1 carries. Next is resolution number 2, a resolution recognizing organized labor and the key role that unions play in growing our economy for all. The chair will now entertain a motion. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, we'll vote on recommending the resolution as printed. Did someone have to? Oh, I apologize. No? And if somebody does want to speak, just take your placard like this, okay? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. Any abstentions? The ayes have it. Resolution number 2 carries. We will now move to resolution number 3, a resolution condemning the Trump administration's reckless and deadly approach to immigration enforcement. The chair will now entertain a motion to recommend the resolution for approval. Is there a second? Is there any discussion? Seeing none, we'll vote on recommending the resolution as printed. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. Any abstentions? The ayes have it. Resolution number 3 carries. Resolution number 4, a resolution on protecting voting rights and Black political representation following Louisiana versus Calais. The chair will entertain a motion to recommend this resolution for approval. Is there a second? Is there any discussion? I apologize, our sponsor of the resolution is here, Ms. Donna Brazil. Yes. Did you want to make remarks?
First of all, thank you for acknowledging me, though I didn't raise my hand, but I did say a prayer this morning. And my prayer is this. My prayer is that as Democrats and as Americans, that we stand up and protect the Voting Rights Act of 1965. As you all know, 61 years ago, a great American, Lyndon Johnson, signed the Voting Rights Act into law. And for over 61 years, we've had the legal protection for every eligible citizen in this country to have the right to vote and to have their representation matter. We know after the decision in my beloved home that reflected a case brought by my beloved home state of Louisiana, we lost many of the legal protections of the Voting Rights Act. So I ask this party to do what we've always done, to stand up, to protect democracy, to defend it, to ensure that the next generation knows that they inherit the freedoms and the rights and responsibilities, to ensure that no American is denied the right to vote and to have their voices heard in the halls of Congress or their state houses. So I ask for your approval of this resolution, your strong support, and your diligence going forward in protecting the legal and political rights of all citizens to participate in our electoral process. Thank you, Madam Co-Chair.
Thank you, Ms. Brazil. Is there any further discussion? Mr. Harini.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. I want to thank Ms. Brazil for bringing this resolution, especially during these times, and especially after the Supreme Court decision. And I just want to add to her comments of how this all started in 1965. But back in 65, when our president at the time, Lyndon Johnson, signed it, it only applied from Arkansas to Florida. To follow that, in 1975, our Texas Congresswoman, Barbara Jordan, brought legislation to add the Southwest to the Voting Rights Act. So through the years, this Voting Rights Act started in 65 and continued in 75, where it included all the Southwest, which the Mexican Americans of the state provided a lot of testimony regarding that. In fact, in 75, a lot of the Texas Congress folks, Democrats, voted against it because they didn't want this kind of legislation. But now that we've seen the good, even though it's lost, we need to come back and make sure we bring it back to life and continue the work that's been done to allow people to vote. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. The chair will recognize Harini Krishnan.
Thank you so much. First of all, I want to thank Ms. Brazil for bringing this resolution. Both in my capacity as DNC API Caucus Vice Chair and as the National Director of South Asians for America, I want to share that given our nation's history of systemic racial discrimination and the racism and hate crimes that people of color continue to face, the Voting Rights Act is a necessary safeguard for our democracy, and Asian Americans and South Asians have built our political voice in this country on the foundation of the civil rights movement led by Black Americans. And we stand in solidarity with all communities of color whose voices this ruling threatens to silence. So we absolutely are grateful that you brought this resolution, and all these communities stand in making sure that we safeguard the voting rights protections. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Krishnan. Any further discussion? Mr. Verdejo?
Good morning, and thank you. I want to give a shout out to Ms. Donna Brazil. Thank you for this resolution. I'd like to ask if there's a friendly amendment to add North Carolina to the second, be it further resolved. I say that from this perspective. I'm looking at my member also from North Carolina, Ms. Denise Adams, where in North Carolina, I know for the past, 10, 15 years, we had become like the lab for all things ill in the Republican Party, from gerrymandering to packing the courts to just denying our rights, our freedoms, our voting rights and so forth. Everything, North Carolina has become like more or less the lab, and whatever occurs in North Carolina then just takes fruit there. So I'd just like to add, if at all possible, we can add North Carolina to the second result. If that would be okay with the author of the resolution.
Thank you, Mr. Verdejo. So an amendment has been proposed to add North Carolina to the be it further resolved that the Democratic National Committee condemns Republican efforts in Alabama, Florida, Georgia, Louisiana, Mississippi, Tennessee, Texas, North Carolina, and across the country to dismantle, weaken, evade, or attack majority, minority, Black opportunity, and coalitions district. Is there a second? It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, we'll move to a vote on the amendment. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay? Any abstentions? Great. The motion carries, the amendment carries, and now we will vote on the amended resolution. All those in favor of recommending the resolution as amended, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. Any abstentions? The ayes have it. Resolution number 4 carries as amended. We'll now proceed to resolution number 5, resolution condemning Republican efforts to dismantle majority-minority congressional districts and dilute the voting power of Black voters and voters of color. The chair will recognize J. Nathan Higdon, Vice Chair in Tennessee. And as a reminder, please Keep your remarks in the interest of time to 1 minute in length. And if there is discussion, another reminder, per our bylaws, discussion is limited to the Resolutions Committee members only.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Members of the committee, I present this resolution because the attack on majority-minority districts is not theoretical and it is not isolated. Across the country, Republican legislatures have used redistricting to crack pack divide communities of color, not just to win, but to weaken political power of black voters and voters of color. This resolution names that pattern in Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, Georgia, Florida, Texas, and Tennessee. And it matters that we name the states because democracy is not attacked in the abstract. It is, in Tennessee, that means in Memphis, within Shelby County, a historic black community whose voters' voices shouldn't be carved up with partisan advantage. The point of this resolution is that the Democratic Party sees what is happening in the South, stands with voters being targeted, and will fight for fair maps, fair representation, and the rights of every community to choose its own representative. I ask for your support today.
Thank you, Mr. Hignett. The chair will now entertain a motion to recommend this resolution for approval. Is there a second? Is there any discussion? Seeing none. Ms. Cook?
Sorry, I was trying to get in between Resolution 4 voting and Resolution 5. I wanted to move unanimous consent for Resolution 4.
Resolution 4 has already been passed.
I wanted to specifically reflect on the record unanimous.
Is there any objection? Okay. Thank you. All right. Is there any further discussion on resolution number 5? Okay, we'll now vote on recommending the resolution. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, nay. Any abstentions? The ayes have it. Resolution number 5 carries. We will now move to resolution number 6, resolution to affirm the Democratic Party's commitment to working Americans. The chair will recognize Bill Owen from Tennessee. Oh, your microphone is not on.
Thank you, co-chairs and members of the committee. Former DNC chair Donna Brazil, are you tired of hearing everyone criticize us for not working? I think all of us are working as hard as we can to elect Democrats. And this goes to especially to our friends at Morning Joe and Joe Scarborough. I'm tired of him ragging on our chair, Ken Martin. Ken Martin's a passionate guy. You remember how Steve Spurrier used to throw his sun visor down 3 or 4 times a game, but then he'd win those games? You remember there's an old Georgia quarterback named Mike Bobo, who the critics said he was too small, he was too slow, he couldn't run, he couldn't pass. The Georgia players said, yeah, that's him. All he can do is win. Well, that's what our chair, Ken Martin, is doing. And that's what the Democratic National Committee is doing. And so this resolution right here, this resolution reaffirms our commitment to the 2024 Democratic Party platform. It's a platform of economic aspiration. It's a platform that deals with affordability. It's a platform that we can be proud of and that we as Democrats and all of our Democratic candidates can run on. We don't have to apologize for something. We don't have to say, oh, no, that's not what we meant. It's right here in the Democratic Party platform. And so with that explanation and that theatrics, and pending any questions, I ask you to adopt this resolution.
Thank you, Mr. Owen. The chair will now entertain a motion to recommend this resolution for approval.
So moved.
Is there a second? Is there any discussion? Seeing none, we'll now vote on recommending the resolution. All those in favor of the resolution say aye. Those opposed, nay. Any abstentions? The ayes have it. Resolution number 6 carries. You're welcome. Next up is resolution number 7, a resolution to support a party that shows up, year-round presence and belonging. The chair will recognize co-chair Ron Harris to make brief remarks.
Thank you, Madam Co-Chair. This resolution says something very simple, that belonging is built in the off years. We all know what it looks like when we arrive as campaigns and as a party 8 weeks before the election, and then we vanish the day afterwards. People learn the lesson that we teach them, that they are there for a transaction and not to be part of building something much bigger. A party that shows up year-round at the county fair or the church basement or the union hall earns the right to be believed when we finally ask for something. This resolution just essentially commits us to presence as a key anchor and platform as part of our strategy, and being present in community actually costs less than the advertising dollars that we spend to make up for that. So with that, I ask for your support.
Thank you, Co-Chair Harris. Chair will now entertain a motion to recommend this resolution for approval. Is there a second? Is there any discussion? Millie Herrera?
Thank you very much. And thank you, Mr. Harris, for submitting this resolution. It is very, very needed. I'm from Florida, and we see that we're very sporadic in the outreach to communities, specifically the Hispanic community. And we're seeing that the Hispanic community in Florida has turned more to the Republicans because we're not paying attention on a daily basis and continuously, and we need to stop. We need to stop doing that. We need to show up every single day. We saw in 2007 when then candidate Barack Obama paid attention. He had boots on the ground. And my community, I'm Cuban American, voted 52% for President Barack Obama in 2008, helping us carry the state. And he did the same thing in 2012. So I'm using that as the benchmark that we need to aspire to continuously to reach out to all communities. If we don't do it, we're in peril of losing over and over again. So thank you very much for submitting this.
Thank you, Ms. Herrera. The chair will now recognize Harini Krishnan.
Thank you so much, Co-Chair Harris, for bringing this. You and I have talked, and we've talked about the need for long-term investments in communities that is not transactional. And I just want to applaud you for saying this. And I want to go on record saying that's exactly what we're doing here at the DNC. We are investing in when we count, which is the voter registration, which is critical to increasing our numbers. We're investing in organizing boot camps. We're spending our money exactly where it should be, in the states, in year-round organizing, because that is how we build power. Like you said, we don't parachute in 8 weeks before and from some other state. We build power from within and invest in community centers and union halls, and this resolution is so needed, and this is what we're doing and will continue doing. Thank you.
Thank you. Chair will recognize Sophia Cranenberg. Dannenberg, I apologize. I don't have my glasses today.
Oh, yeah, I had to pull mine out. Well, I just want to take a lead from Mr. Owen. And, you know, with this, I look at this resolution and I do think about our chair, Ken Martin. And this is something he's doing. He has, you know, started on the ground. And I really want to commend him because, you know, people look at these victories that we've been having, right, at these other kind of local levels, and it's not an accident. I think it is because of this investment, and I really do hope that we commit to this, and this is something that we continue, and I really do want to commend our chair for having invested in this way.
Thank you, Ms. Dannenberg. Is there any further discussion? Seeing no further discussion, we'll now vote on recommending the resolution. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, nay. Any abstentions? The ayes have it. Resolution number 7 carries. We're now moving on to resolution number 8, a resolution condemning efforts to undermine public lands, waterways, and national monuments like Grand Staircase Escalante and Bears Ears. The chair recognizes Susan Merrill, Vice Chair, Utah.
Good morning, members of the committee. I'm Susan Merrill, Vice Chair of the Utah Democratic Party, and I am proud to bring forward this resolution defending our public lands and national monuments. Earlier this year, President Trump opened over 500,000 square miles of protected Pacific waters to commercial fishing and shrank Grand Staircase by 90% and Bears Ears by 91%. Despite assurances, tribal coalitions were never consulted. These Washington-led decisions ignore our local lives, and that is unacceptable. These actions represent an unprecedented land and water grab that threatens irreplaceable resources. Our party has always stood for environmental stewardship, respect for tribal sovereignty, and safeguarding our shared national heritage for future generations. This resolution reaffirms those values and calls on Congress and the Department of the Interior to restore and strengthen the full historic boundaries of these monuments. I urge the committee to advance this resolution and send a clear message. America's public lands and waters are not for sale, they are not for exploitation, and not to be carved up by any administration. They belong to all of us, and they deserve our full protection. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you, Ms. Merrill. The chair will now entertain a motion to recommend this resolution for approval. Is there any discussion?
Terry Pickens, Idaho. I 100% support this resolution. I am from Idaho. My governor was sitting in the building with your governor, and it is appalling. Idaho is 61% public lands, and just like Utah, ours are on the chopping block. We have a portion of Yellowstone. We have the Frank Church Wilderness River of No Return, and we've got our governor ready to sign the same agreements that your governor did. So I 100% support this resolution. We need to say in no uncertain terms our public lands are for public hands.
Thank you, Ms. Pickens. Ms. Stannenberg?
Sorry to take the mic again, but I guess as a state parks commissioner in Washington State and someone who's really just known for my outdoor recreation and a rock climber, a mountain climber, I think this is really important, and I think it's really a bipartisan issue. You know, when we look around at parks and public lands, it is amazing to me. The only people who this benefits are the big corporations, right? I mean, I think all people on the ground, you know, recreate outside, you know, red, blue, purple, and there's been a lot, you know, in terms of narrowing, you know, some definitions that have put wetlands at risk, and I think it's something that we can't get back, and I really do appreciate you pulling this forward, because I think that this is something that the Democratic Party should embrace as really a bipartisan issue.
Thank you, Ms. Stannenberg. Mr. Oscar Mata?
Yeah, I want to thank Susan for putting this together. Being from Utah, I also want to emphasize this isn't just public lands, but also local economies, especially for our tribal nations. So I just want to thank the sponsor of this for putting it forward.
Thank you, Mr. Mata. Seeing no further discussion, we will now vote on recommending the resolution as printed. All those in favor of the resolution say aye. Those opposed, nay. Any abstentions? The ayes have it. Resolution number 8 carries. We'll now proceed to resolution number 9, resolution reclaiming the American promise. The chair recognizes co-chair Ron Harris.
Thank you so much. I'll be quick. America just turned 250 years old, and the question in front of us is, who owns her 250-year-old promise? Not the promise as we think of it as nostalgia, but the promise that we think of it as an unfinished project, that ordinary people can govern themselves, that dignity is not rationed by zip code or by birthright or by neighborhood or by gender or any of those things. Right now, that the people that are wrapping themselves tightest in the flag are working the hardest against what it stands for. We should not concede an inch of that ground. The promise belongs to the people that are still waiting on it, and we are the party that intends to keep it. With that, I ask for your support. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Harris. The chair will now entertain a motion to recommend this resolution for approval. Is there a second? Is there any discussion? The chair recognizes Jessica Cook.
Sorry for grabbing the mic again. I wholeheartedly agree with this. Not only the American promise, but really the symbols of our nation have been I can't even think of the word. Last year at our state fair, a little boy who couldn't have been more than 8 came up to our Democrat booth and says, "Look, Mom, they have the Republican flag." There's a problem. So I love this resolution. We need to reclaim our symbols. We need to reclaim our promise for all Americans. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Cook. Chair recognizes Lawrence Saxon.
Thank you, Madam Co-Chair. I think that this resolution is particularly important as we confront voter suppression and as we take on efforts to protect the vote. People, I think, forget how incredibly important and central the right to vote is to our nation and to our national identity, and I think that this resolution helps refocus that, and I very much appreciate it, and thank the co-chair for submitting it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Saxon. Seeing no further discussion, I will now vote on recommending the resolution as printed. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, nay. Any abstentions? The ayes have it. Resolution number 9 carries. We'll now move to resolution number 10, a resolution making the American people the heroes of the democratic story. The chair recognizes co-chair Ron Harris.
I hope you're all not sick of my voice because you're going to hear it a few more times throughout the course of this meeting. I put this one together because every good story has a hero. And I think for too long when it comes to our party that the heroes have actually been placed as our candidates or our policies or our 10-point programs or our accomplishments or what have you. Voters can feel when they've been cast as the audience or cast as the extras. This resolution asks us to tell the story the way that I believe it's actually true, that the American people are the protagonists. They are the heroes of the story. They are already doing the hard work in their own neighborhoods and their own unions and their own congregations. We talk a lot about how President Biden, for example, beat Donald Trump. No, the American people beat Donald Trump. Right? The American people positioned the president to be able to do those things. The American people are the ones showing up in the midterms. Our job is to hand them power, not narrate at them or speak at them. People will not fight for a story that they are not, where they are the spectators. They will fight for one, though, where they are the center of it. And if we center the people as the heroes of the story, we will see that downstream in terms of the support that we get and the activity that people show up with in this party. With that, I ask for your support.
Thank you, Co-Chair Harris. The chair will now entertain a motion to recommend this resolution for approval. Is there a second? Is there any discussion? Seeing none, we'll vote. Oh, yes. I apologize. Yes.
Good morning, everyone. What I like about this resolution is my degree's in history and a specialization in women's studies. And every day I find so much of our history I do not know. And I think it's very important for every group in this country to speak their stories, to speak their truth, because it will resonate really well throughout the country. And I'd like to thank you for writing this resolution.
Thank you. The chair will recognize Yvonne Reeves-Chong.
Thank you very much, Chair Harris, for bringing this forward. It is critical that every day we ground ourselves and our party in our voters. We don't do this for anyone but them, and we have to bring them along. So thank you for this timely reminder that they are the center and we work for them.
Thank you, Ms. Reeves-Chong. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll vote on recommending the resolution as printed. All those in favor of the resolution say aye. Those opposed, nay. Any abstentions? The ayes have it. Resolution number 10 carries. Moving on to resolution number 11, a resolution celebrating America's 250th birthday, commemorating the nation's founding principles and calling on Americans to unite behind them in the face of the Trump administration's betrayal of those principles. The chair will recognize Milan Van Dam from Maryland. Oh, your microphone's on. There we go.
Okay. Good morning, members of this committee. I'll keep this quick, but this resolution is really focused on ensuring we can reclaim the patriotism of this country. A lot of the argument that we see, especially in the youth space, from the Republican Party and their entities, is trying to push this narrative that they are the only party that can claim patriotism, that can claim this hope in our country and this commitment to service. And I think that that's unequivocally false. And I think we need to really emphasize that we are committed to patriotism, and that the Trump administration is directly the opposite of those principles.
Thank you, Mr. Van Dam. The chair will now entertain a motion to recommend this resolution for approval. Is there a second? Is there any discussion? Yes, Ms. Dannenberg.
This is sort of a neutral comment that I wanted to make, because I read this and I was thinking about an amendment. I couldn't quite think of where to put it in, and I decided just to let it go. But I did, gosh, I recently was on this Freedom plane for work, and I came off it, and then it happened to be the canoe journey in Washington State, and we went to the Nisqually tribe, and I really had to think about these sort of founding principles, and that they were really even the Declaration of Independence. One of the grievances is literally that that you're getting our slaves to revolt, and you won't let us go to indigenous lands to the west because the British were blocking it. And so I really did want to just acknowledge that that this was done by stealing land from indigenous people. I wanted to sort of put it in here, but I couldn't think of how. But I just at least want that on the record. I'll say in the end of all of this, I sort of again, I think this was an imperfect people putting forward an idea that we need to bring to truth, and that was it.
Thank you, Ms. Dannenberg. Any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll now vote on recommending the resolution as printed. All those in favor of the resolution say aye. Those opposed, nay. Any abstentions? The ayes have it. Resolution number 11 carries. Moving on to Resolution 12, a resolution encouraging collaboration between Democratic National Committee caucuses and councils and their counterparts in the High School Democrats of America, College Democrats of America, and Young Democrats of America. The chair recognizes Milan Van Dam from Maryland.
Good morning again. This resolution is really focused on bringing us all together, because we can really do more when we work all together. The Young Democrats of America, CDA, YDA, HSDA, we all have strong bases and an ability to organize large amounts of people. And I think if 2024 taught us something, it was that we can't leave young people out, and we need to ensure we're involving as many bases and as many constituencies as we can ahead of the 2026 midterms.
Thank you, Mr. Van Dam. The chair will now entertain a motion to recommend this resolution for approval. Is there a second? Is there any discussion? Yes, Ms. Krishna.
First of all, I want to applaud Millen. Millen is the chair of the High School Democrats of America. He's somebody who walks the talk. He's an organizer. I've organized with him, knocked on doors with him in multiple states. This resolution is so critical because I can speak from the DNC AAPI caucus. We have members of the YDA AAPI caucus, HSDA AAPI caucus, and Young Dems AAPI caucus serving on our organizing committee. And when they do that, we make sure that the lens of the youth are always centered when in our organizing projects, when we mobilize the vote. And I think it is very critical, and it is a way to engage them and counter youth apathy when it comes to civic engagement. So this resolution is very much needed, and as Millen, as somebody who walks the talk, I'm very grateful that you brought this forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Krishnan. Any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll now vote on recommending the resolution as printed. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, nay. Any abstentions? The ayes have it. Resolution number 12 carries. We'll now move to resolution number 13, a resolution recognizing the work and contributions of the California Young Democrats. The chair recognizes Jason Park from California.
Thank you so much. First, I want to express my gratitude to Chairperson Millen Van Dam for his work on the previous resolution. I find it very fitting that this resolution follows his. I'm incredibly proud to have authored this resolution, recognizing CYD. Young Democrats are not just the future of our party, but we are organizing, leading, and are vital to the Democratic Party's success this November. I ask this committee to adopt this resolution to recognize CYD and all young members of our party across this country, as well as affirm the importance of investing in the next generation of our party's leadership. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Park. The chair will now entertain a motion to recommend this resolution for approval. Is there a second? Is there any discussion? Yes.
Good morning again. I'd like to thank Jason Park for this resolution. I live in Orange County, California, and in over 30 years I've made it sort of my mission to work with young people at UCI and community colleges to get them engaged in local politics, making sure they get on central committees, go to the DNC convention, and it warms my heart to see so many of them staying in politics, running for office and winning, getting married, having babies, and I think it's all of our responsibility for us that have been doing this a while to make sure that we mentor young people and not forget their voices matter too. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Cunningham-Skurnick. The chair will recognize Annalisa Swan.
Thank you, Madam Co-Chair. So I'd really want to thank Jason Park and Milan for their resolutions. And I do just want to highlight the great work that the Young Dems are doing. They were very instrumental in passing Prop 50 in California and also their coordination with the caucuses. We saw that a lot as they were helping get out the vote. And also just thanking Chair Ken Martin for investing in the Young Dems. When we count, if you haven't attended those trainings, you should, and that's just an example of the really great work that that the Young Dems are doing to do partisan voter registration for Democrats. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Swan. Any further discussion? Okay, seeing none, we'll now vote on recommending the resolution as printed. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, nay. Any abstentions? The ayes have it. Resolution number 13 carries. We'll now move to resolution number 14, a resolution defending a free, diverse, and independent media against far-right consolidation and censorship. The chair recognizes David Atkins from California and Michael Kapp from California.
Hello, thank you so much. David Atkins, California. The First Amendment has never been under as much threat as we see it today. The American people have never had as much threat to their right to have a diverse and free information environment as they have today. Just on August 6th, the FCC did pass its repeal of the cap on 39% cap on broadcast media ownership. That's going to further consolidate TV broadcast. We're seeing right-wing billionaires buy up media space, social media space. Elon Musk with X, with what used to be Twitter. Obviously, what's happening with Ellison and Paramount. All across our media environment, we are seeing the right of the people to actually have real, true, and free information discarded so that right-wing billionaires can conglomerate their ownership and with the power of the government to eliminate any other voices from the media sphere. A free democracy cannot function under these conditions, and we have to not only, while the Trump administration is in power, affirm through resolutions our belief in a free and diverse media environment, but commit to actually reversing the things that they have done when we do retake power.
Thank you, Mr. Atkins. The chair will now entertain a motion to recommend this resolution for approval. Is there a second? Is there any discussion? Yes, Mr. Park.
I want to thank my colleagues from California for working on this resolution. You know, a free, diverse, and independent press is so fundamental to our democracy. So I urge this committee to also support and adopt this resolution. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Park. The chair will recognize Lawrence Saxon.
Thank you, Madam Co-Chair. In addition to the incredibly important statements throughout this resolution about how consolidation of media ownership has really restricted people's access to information. I think it's also important not to view this entirely in isolation. The Trump administration has gone after the antitrust laws in a way to make sure that they don't function and to make sure that corporations can consolidate power. We see it in the media visibly, but we also see it elsewhere. As corporate power is consolidated, we also see that in the diminution of the importance of workers in the workplace, in respecting their rights, in respecting intellectual property rights. And this is a very, very important resolution. But I also encourage us to think about this not just as a free speech issue, but also as an antitrust issue, and I urge its support. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Zaxon. Is there any further discussion? Seeing now, we'll now vote on recommending the resolution as printed. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, nay. Any abstentions? The ayes have it. Resolution number 14 carries. Thank you. We will now move to resolution number 15, resolution on sustained investment in Midwestern organizing. The chair recognizes Co-Chair Harris.
Thank you, Madam Co-Chair. I've had the honor of chairing our Midwestern Caucus with my other hat for the last 9 years. We have 13 states in the Midwestern Caucus, plus our representatives from Democrats abroad. I'll be quick. Here's what I've learned, that growing up in the Midwest, you cannot harvest what you have not planted. And I just want to continue to affirm the investments that have been made across the country and in every state party, because we are seeing the results of it in the Midwest, and I want to just continue to affirm and encourage continued Midwestern investment. Thank you.
Thank you, Co-Chair Harris. The chair will now entertain a motion to recommend this resolution for approval. Is there a second? Is there any discussion? Yes. Mr. Christensen.
Good morning. Thank you, Ron, for moving this forward. My name is Gregory Christensen, Vice Chair for the Iowa Democratic Party, and I just wanted to join on to this by saying that because of the investments that have been made by Chair Martin and Jane Clubb, who leads the Association of State Democratic Committees, states like ours in Iowa has the largest coordinated campaign this cycle that we've had in decades, and a real chance to win a governor's race, a Senate race, and help send some additional seats to the U.S. House of Representatives. So thank you for acknowledging the investment in the Midwest, and I hope we can keep it going after the election as well, because to your point, we just need to keep investing in these places where maybe we haven't in the past, and it's not flyover country. This is the heartland of our country, so thank you for making this.
Thank you, Mr. Christensen. Is there any further discussion? Seeing no further discussion, we'll now vote on recommending the resolution as printed. All those in favor of the resolution say aye. Those opposed, nay. Any abstentions? The ayes have it. Resolution number 15 carries. Moving on to resolution number 16, a resolution honoring the leadership and legacy of AFSCME President Lee Saunders upon his retirement. The chair recognizes Donna Brazil.
Thank you, ma'am. As a Labor Democrat who belongs to 2 international unions, I am so proud to be a member of organized labor, and a proud member of the Democratic Party. Lee Saunders has done an amazing job throughout his life in leading AFSCME. He has been on the front lines of every battle for organizing working people, public sector unions, and Lee is also a former member of this great DNC. So I wanted to pay tribute to his outstanding leadership as he is preparing to retire.
Thank you, Ms. Brazil. The chair will now entertain a motion to recommend this resolution for approval. Is there a second? Is there any discussion? The chair will recognize Stephanie Beal.
Thank you very much for submitting this resolution. I am in support of it. However, I do not believe that this body should resolve to do things that we are not going to do. And as much as I would love to send a copy of this to Lee, we will not be doing that. So I would like to move to remove the final let it be resolved section.
Ma'am, with all due respect, not only will I send it to him, there are members of ASME who will be going directly to the convention next week in Chicago, and we will personally sign it with our names. I'll ask Ken to sign it. I'll bless it, and Lee will receive a copy.
Love it then.
Okay, is there any further discussion? Okay, seeing none, we will now vote on recommending the resolution as printed. All those in favor of the resolution say aye. Those opposed, nay. Any abstentions? The ayes have it. Resolution number 16 carries. Next is resolution, oh, that's you, 17.
You can keep going if you want to, or you want to rest your
okay.
voice?
No.
All right. Let's give it up for my co-chair for running through those in the first half.
Thank you.
All right, just as a reminder, we only have until 11, so I'm going to be a little more strict on our time when it comes to speaking, and I'll be strict with myself as well. So let's continue with resolution number 17, a resolution honoring the service and leadership of NEA President Becky Pringle. The chair will recognize Ms. Donna Brazil for brief remarks.
Thank you so much. Rebecca Pringle, otherwise known as Becky, is also retiring from heading up the National Education Association. She has been a strong advocate of our public schools, our public school children, a great organizer, a great leader of our labor movement. And again, I wanted to have this body go on record in acknowledging her sacrifices and her support on behalf of not just her union, but the Democratic Party.
Thank you so much. The chair will entertain a motion to recommend this resolution. Is there a second? Is there any discussion? I'll recognize Jessica Cook.
Thank you, Mr. Co-Chair. As a career-long member of NEA and a former state and local officer who's worked closely with Becky during her tenure, thank you very much for bringing this forward. I can't think of anyone more deserving of this. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll now vote on recommending the resolution. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? All right, that resolution carries. On to resolution number 18, affirming the Democratic Party's commitment to Democratic voters, Democratic unity, and the Democratic nomination process. I will recognize John Verdejo for brief remarks.
Thank you, sir, and thank you to the committee. I'll be real brief, but I bring this resolution before us because at the end of the day, we have to trust Democratic voters. We are a broad party, and we are not always going to agree. We come from different regions, different backgrounds, and different perspectives. We are going to support different candidates, and sometimes we are going to disagree strongly about the direction of our party. That's part of being a Democrat. But our voters ultimately make the decision. And once they have spoken, I believe we have a responsibility to respect that decision, whether it is the outcome we personally wanted or not. This resolution does not ask any of us to give up our principles or stop debating. It simply says that no faction, organization, elected official, or individual should speak louder than Democratic voters. That is the principle I am asking my fellow committee members to affirm. Thank you, and that's my time.
Thank you, sir. I will now entertain a motion to recommend this resolution. Is there a second? Any discussion on the resolution? All right, seeing none, we'll now vote on recommending the resolution as printed. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Resolution number 18 is adopted. Moving on to 19, resolution opposing the Safeguard American Voter Eligibility Act, otherwise known as the SAVE Act. The chair will recognize Ms. Donna Brazil for brief remarks.
Thank you, Mr. Co-Chair. I didn't mention when I spoke earlier about the Voting Rights Act why I feel so passionate about the right to vote. I was a little girl growing up in Louisiana when I saw my grandmother tell her family that she had finally received the right to vote. Imagine a 5-year-old child watching her grandmother cry. Now, go forward to this past spring, when I heard from my baby sister, I'm the third of 9 children, and she said, I voted last week, but now my vote no longer counts. I want this party to go on record saying that we oppose the SAVE Act. We oppose it because it will not only suppress our votes, it will likely remove millions of our citizens from the voter rolls and require citizens to show ID that they don't have. We all know that in some states you can have a driver's license. In some states you can maybe have a license to hunt. But a student who absolutely attend a state university, well, that ID doesn't count. So we should oppose it because on the face of it, we know that it will discriminate and suppress our vote. I urge you, not only in your capacity as a member of this party, but as citizens of the United States, to oppose efforts to dilute the rights of all our citizens to vote. And yes, for women, if you've been married and you got a middle name that you didn't put on your passport, or if you can't find your birth certificate, let me just say this, they're coming for you too. So I strongly oppose the SAVE Act, and I hope you will as well. I urge you to adopt this resolution, amend it, bless it, but let's go out there and get ready to fight. Fight like we've never fought before to protect the voting rights of every American citizen. Thank you.
Hear, hear. Thank you, Ms. Brazil. I will recognize Janie Cotton to kick off our discussion.
Yes, I want to commend Donna and everything she said, and I would like to be added as a co-sponsor. It did not pop up for some reason, but I'm very strong about opposing the Safeguard Act, thinking of the inheritance I've got in a great culture with my grandmother and mother who talked to us about this at even 5 years of age. I think this is a ridiculous mess that they have brought before this country. It is something that all of us should be ashamed of, that someone in office as a president or legislators who work for the people have stated something that is not in alignment with what we say is the American dream or anything that we've had. And so we want to rebuke the SAVE Act and add our name. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'll recognize Deborah Cunningham-Skernick.
Thank you, Donna Brazil, for this. This is something I've been screaming every day about the SAVE Act. Let's call it what it is. It's a disenfranchise as many people as possible throughout the country act. And that includes people of color and women because, oh my gosh, they changed their name. And they want to bring us back 100 years or so. So every day I wake up, I talk to my family, I talk to friends, why we need to pay attention, not just locally, but also nationally, because Republicans are fighting hard to put this awful act into existence. Thank you.
Thank you so much, and y'all are doing so well with a 30-second clock, so I appreciate that. Over to you, Annalisa.
Yes, thank you, Donna Brazil, for bringing this resolution. I would also just like to add that the SAVE Act is really a poll tax. It's costly to obtain these documents and to get passports and to change your name and get a whole new set of documents, so the cost involved in it. And I will also just highlight that you know, Republicans are trying to bring this now to the state level. Like in California, we have an awful Proposition 39 where they're trying to install these type of voter suppression acts. So thank you for bringing this.
Thank you so much. I'll recognize Nathan Soltz next, followed by Yvonne Reeves-Strong.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Very supportive of this in Oregon, vote by mail, the first state to go all vote by mail. This is certainly a real threat to us. More of a, I guess, a technical question. As a newer member of this committee, we adopted almost an identical resolution at the last meeting. I know when similar resolutions are submitted for the same meeting, it gets flagged by staff and worked out to avoid redundancy. I just wonder if there's any sort of expectation or protocol for identical resolutions in back-to-back meetings.
Appreciate the question. As chairs, we leverage some of our personal privilege out of respect for certain people who submit them, right? For Ms. Donna Brazil, for example, like I'm gonna, try to facilitate as much as possible when she gets the opportunity to say something, because that's how it is. but good question.
Absolutely. I mean, support it, just truly want to know what the process was. Thank you.
Yep. Yvonne?
You know why? Because we can't say it enough. I have submitted, as long as I've been on this committee, back to back on the Voting Rights Act. Because every time they try to dilute our vote, when students at North Carolina A&T just learned 2 weeks ago that they have closed down the polling station, I want them to know I'm speaking for them right now. Not yesterday, not last year, not 10 years ago. I'm speaking for them right now. So maybe we should continue to add it. The poll taxes my young sister just mentioned. Yes, that's why I did it. I also submitted to the staff to say, update it, make sure I'm current, because we're going to continue to fight. So that's the purpose, sir. And if I may have to do it again, and I'll keep doing it. Because freedom is our birthright, but we have to fight for it. Because we understand the attack against us. It's not just against our party. They don't want to see me at the polling place. They want to deny my daddy who fought in this country. They want to deny us the right to vote. So that's why we do it every day, every time, every hour. And we're not going to leave Austin without the world knowing why we're going to keep fighting for the Voting Rights Act. Lyndon Johnson would want us to stand up and fight for the Voting Rights Act every day, every hour, every minute of our lives, because freedom runs through our bloodstream. That's why we do it, sir. And God bless you. You fight too, because when I'm no longer on this committee, I'm going to pass the baton to you, and I want you to keep fighting. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Needed to be said, and you'll always have my support for that.
See, Nathan was smart. He just gave her alley-oop because we were waiting for that. So you just teed it up for her perfectly.
Always.
I'll recognize.
The vice chair from Missouri is much smarter than trying to follow that.
Here. And with that, I will close discussion then. No, I'm just kidding. Any other discussion? Yes, Ms. Burke?
Thank you, Mr. Co-Chair. I just wanted to add that the fight for voting rights extends into our territories, the Virgin Islands and all. So yeah, I totally support it, and I do want for my name to be added to this resolution.
All right, thank you so much. Any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll move on to a vote. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? All right, resolution number 19 is adopted. Thank you so much. Moving on to number 20, resolution encouraging state parties with significant Native populations to prioritize hiring campaign professionals with experience in Indian country. The chair will recognize Mr. Donovan Hawk for brief remarks.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning, members of the committee. My name is Donovan Hawk. I'm out of Montana, and I brought this resolution hoping that you guys can support it. I've seen time and time again over the past 10 to 15 years how states like Montana with large Native populations tend to get overlooked during election cycles. And I believe that if we can encourage our state parties to start investing in people that have the skills to be able to get on the ground during election season, would help significantly increase our chances in all these states. Particularly 2018, we had our Senate race, which was crucial, and the pivot point was Indian country. And so I hope that you can support this resolution. Thank you.
Thank you. The chair will entertain a motion to recommend this resolution for approval. Is there a second? I'll recognize Jessica Cook to kick off our discussion.
Thank you, Mr. Co-Chair. Coming from Alaska, where hopefully our next senator will be an Alaska Native. This is absolutely critical. We have to hire people to go out door knocking that don't understand the culture, don't understand the people, the lifestyle. When we hire campaign professionals with that background, it impresses more of our message onto voters, and I think it encourages more people to get out and actually vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Cook. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll move on to a vote. All those in favor of adopting the resolution, say aye. Any opposed? All right, resolution number 20 is adopted. Moving on to 21, preserving communities' access to the courts to protect taxpayers from extreme weather costs. The chair will recognize J. Nathan Higdon, Vice Chair of Tennessee.
Thank you, Mr. Co-Chair. Committee members, I'm proud to introduce Resolution 21. Our communities are deeply affected by climate change impacts, extreme heat, catastrophic flooding, and wildfires. We're building expensive resilience projects to protect ourselves from this. Let's take flooding. Roads have to be rebuilt. Bridges, schools, water systems, and emergency services all have high price tags. Insurance, FEMA, and state governments may cover some, but whatever remains doesn't magically disappear. I come from a state with a lot of small communities and small counties, and when disaster hits, we don't have unlimited tax bases. At its heart, this resolution asks a pretty simple question. When extreme weather causes billions of dollars in damages, who's left paying the bill? Republicans are going to tell local governments, you're increasingly on your own for these costs. And we can't tell communities that. Or we're going to take away the one legal tool they have to recover them. So if a county, a city, a tribe, or a state believes it has a legally valid claim against a private company for deceptive conduct, politicians should not preemptively take legal options away. We've used our courts to hold tobacco companies and opioid manufacturers liable. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Higdon. I will entertain a motion to consider this resolution. Is there a second? Is there any discussion on the resolution? Yes, Mr. Schultz.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to say briefly first, really appreciate that this was submitted. I grew up in Medford, Oregon, where frequently the summers with the fire season, was what we called it, the fire season, would have the worst air quality in the world, exceeding the maximum value for air quality. It was literally unhealthy to go outside. And to think that now we have an administration that's trying to shield the companies that are turning our climate into that environment is absolutely horrific. So I really appreciate that we're making that sort of a statement. I appreciate the sponsor of the resolution.
Thank you, Mr. Schultz. I'll recognize Ms. Herrera.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, Co-Chair. Yes, I am definitely in support of this, and I just wanted to make sure that we recognize that in Florida, the tribes have been opposing the use of what they call alligator Alcatraz. They took over that land, and they have abused and, in my opinion, murdered immigrants for the sole reason of political, their political causes, and spent $500 million of our tax dollars to do this. And we're finally trying to reclaim it, but this is extremely important that we recognize the impact of what you're seeking, that we cannot continue to use our funds to harm our environment further. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Herrera. Is there any further discussion on this amendment? Seeing none, I will call for a vote. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Resolution number 21 carries. On to number 22, resolution reaffirming America's commitments to climate action and global climate leadership. I will recognize Mr. David Atkins for 1-minute remarks.
David Atkins, California. Thank you again, committee, for your patience. Look, this is not just a bland reaffirmation of our values kind of statement here. This is about a crisis that we are currently experiencing. July of this year was the hottest year recorded in the contiguous United States, hotter than the Dust Bowl, second hottest recorded globally. There are some voices in our party who say that we need to be stepping back from talking about climate and stepping back and talking about these things. But we can feel it when we go outside. This is getting worse, and over the course of the last 10 years, there have been a number of people who said, oh, it's getting better on its own, we'll hit these targets through renewables. Scientists are in massive alarm right now. Things are happening that are worse in terms of sea level rise, in terms of the melt of the glaciers and all this, that are faster than they anticipated. This is an issue that everyone is experiencing when they go outside and is going to be experiencing over the next 3 years, and is central to not only our survival. We talk a lot about justice for people here, but this is about our survival as a civilization and all the species on this planet. And it is a political issue that we need to show people that we actively do care about, because everyone can see, oh my goodness, this is actually really bad. You cannot survive in many parts of this country walking outside right now. And we need to reaffirm our commitments to that, not step back from them. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Atkins. The chair will now entertain a motion to recommend the resolution for approval. Is there a second? I will kick it off to Jessica Cook to kick off our discussion.
Sorry to keep taking the mic, but this is important. So thank you, Mr. Co-Chair. Again, coming from Alaska, we have had 2 typhoons, one in 22, one in 2025. In Alaska, we've had a heat advisory last week. We are experiencing the warmest temperatures that we've experienced. Yesterday or the day before, Suicide Basin Glacial Dam broke, and the Mendenhall River is flooding. We've got communities that are destroyed, are gone. They've been there for tens of thousands of years with our indigenous people, losing so much of their heritage because of climate change. It might be a cycle. I don't have a problem understanding that there's a cycle of things, but I also understand that we as a civilization are increasing the speed of that cycle, and we need to be doing something.
Thank you so much. Any further discussion? All right, seeing none, I will now vote on recommending the resolution as printed. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Resolution number 22 carries.
Next is resolution number 23, a resolution defining Black Americans by their assets, not their deficits. The chair will recognize Vice Chair Harris, Co-Chair Harris.
Thanks so much. I thought it'd be weird for me to chair my own resolution, so I had to pass it for a minute. Thank you, Madam Co-Chair. For decades, the story told about Black America, whether it's been by our opponents or sometimes our friends, has been a story about gaps. Wealth gaps, achievement gaps, health gaps, housing gaps. The gaps are real and we definitely have to close them, but people are not their gaps. We're so much more than our gaps. Black Americans are builders. We're builders of institutions, of businesses, of congregations, of culture, and of this democracy itself, often while being denied its full protection. People do not organize around a story in which they are the problem. And both on the left and the right, Black folks are described as the problem and never really seen as the solution to those problems. But I believe that people will organize around a story in which they are the power. This resolution commits our party to speak of Black Americans the way that Black Americans know themselves and know ourselves. And so with that, I will ask for your support. Thank you.
Thank you, Co-Chair Harris. The chair will now entertain a motion to recommend this resolution for approval. Is there a second? Is there any discussion? Yes.
This is a big yes and amen, and I'd like to be added as a co-sponsor. Thank you. And I appreciate you, Ron, for bringing that up. We have a culture that's almost unspeakable, and what we've contributed, it needs to be heard and brought to the attention of anyone who don't believe it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Cotton. The chair recognizes Mr. Verdejo.
Thank you for the recognition. I just love the first whereas, where it says, quote, for too long, American politics has defined Black communities by their wounds rather than their gifts. My man, politics aside, that speaks to real life and some of the stuff that we go through. And I'm going to take the privilege to say it's a beautiful thing when, folks that look like me and Ron, thank you for writing this, because America and the world needs to see that we matter too as men, as black men. So this piece right here, my man, I salute you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Verdejo. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll now vote on recommending the resolution as printed. All those in favor of the resolution say aye. Those opposed, nay. Any abstentions? The ayes have it. Resolution number 23 carries.
Thank you, Madam Co-Chair, and for the record, that is my last resolution that I've submitted today, so thank you for indulging me. On to number 24, resolution reaffirming the Democratic Party's commitment to full and consistent enforcement of the Leahy laws. Is Michelle Johnson in the room? There she is. Chair will recognize Michelle Johnson for brief remarks.
Good morning, y'all. My name is Michelle Johnson. I'm a member from Louisiana. I was in Equatorial Guinea during an election where we were confined to where we were staying, and every road out was held by a checkpoint of men with rifles. So I want to tell you what it's like that our government has now made that country a partner. Democrats wrote the Leahy Law precisely so the United States would never underwrite security forces that torture and disappear people, and that standard has been ours for 30 years. Yet last year, the State Department wired $7.5 million directly to that government to take 29 people we deported, some of them with asylum claims still pending, and it drew that money from the account Congress funds for refugee emergencies. Returning a person to a country where they face torture violates the Convention Against Torture, a treaty we were party to and largely wrote. So what we have done here is not just abandon our own rule, but demonstrate to every other government that the rule carries a price and that the price is cheap. Senator Shaheen, our ranking member on Foreign Relations, wrote to the Secretary of State asking him to explain this, and she has never been answered. I'm asking this party to stand behind our own senator and our own law, and I ask for your support. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Johnson. The chair will now entertain a motion to recommend the resolution for approval. Is there a second? All right, I'll kick it over to Ms. Beal to start our conversation.
Hi, Stephanie Beal from Colorado. I again just want to inquire into what mechanism we have to send this to Congress, and if we do not have a mechanism to remove the last "be it further resolved" clause, stanza.
We could, and like
You
like,
can send it to
like
Congress.
it'll legit probably just be an email, but I doubt that we'll send it to all.
Are you like volunteering? Like, are you gonna actually?
I'm
do it,
absolutely
or-
not volunteering, but I mean, I don't see why we couldn't send it.
The D-Trip office is downstairs. We can bring it to him.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Beal. Next, I'll go over to John Verdejo. Is there any further discussion on the amendment? I'm sorry, the resolution? Any further discussion? Seeing none, I will call for a vote. All those in favor of adopting the resolution say aye. Any opposed? All right, resolution number 24 is passed. Thank you so much. Moving on to 25, recognizing that the Democratic parties depend on coordinated partnerships among the DNC, state parties, caucuses, and councils, and allied organization. The chair will recognize Keith Uemoto for 1-minute remarks.
Yeah, thank you so much. People probably notice I'm wearing my Ask Me green since earlier we recognized the wonderful work that Lee Saunders has delivered to this party, including being a member of the DNC. I bring this forth. We've heard a lot of resolutions on policy. We've heard some resolutions on how to do it. So we know what we stand for. And what I want to accentuate by putting forth this resolution is, to a certain degree, in memory of what Jesse Jackson talked about. America's a quilt, patches, colors, different sizes. And we as a party are similarly in that vein. And when we are together, we have a blanket. And when we work together, we're a blanket. And you look at the resolution, we barely lost the 2024 election. But the 155,000 votes that we needed, you know the stark difference of what we would be seeing today. Healthcare, education, et cetera. So I applaud you for taking up this resolution. I'm accentuating this so that we step up our effort in working with the DNC state parties, the caucuses, and councils. There is a lot of good work by all of us. Working together, we're better.
Thank you so much. The chair will now entertain a motion to recommend this resolution for approval. Is there a second? Any discussion on the resolution? The chair recognizes Mr. Jason Park.
I want to thank my colleague from California for working on this resolution. Much of the content contained in the whereas clauses I distinctly remember. We've had conversations before, and he has also written about much of what's in the whereas clauses back home in California. So thank you so much, and I urge the committee to adopt this resolution.
Thank you, Mr. Park. I will recognize Ms. Annalisa Swan.
I also just want to thank my colleague from California for this resolution, and I think it also just underscores the our chair, Ken Martin, organizing everywhere so we can win everywhere. We're a big tent party, and making sure that we're speaking authentically about these issues, and that's just some of the great work that the caucuses do, as well as the state parties, and that's really where our investments need to be, is on the ground and to our state parties and to our caucuses, et cetera. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Swan, and thank you to speakers for allowing me to interrupt when we go over. I don't mean to be rude, but I appreciate you to keeping up with our time. Any further discussion on this resolution? Seeing none, I will call for a vote for adoption. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Resolution number 25 carries. On to number 26, resolution reaffirming the Democratic Party's commitment to protecting constitutional rights and citizenship for the U.S. territories. The chair will recognize Chairman Luis de Villapernas of Puerto Rico. Don't worry, your minute starts when you start talking, so don't worry.
All right, thank you so much. Colleagues, last month, legislation was introduced in Congress to restrict birthright citizenship in Puerto Rico and the United States territories. And just last week, President Trump signed a new executive order, once again targeting birthright citizenship and birth tourism, as he calls it. Now, whatever ends up happening with these proposals, they expose a troubling reality. The rights of millions of Americans living in the territories remain vulnerable simply because of where we were born. Now, the great John Lewis taught us that there can be no full citizenship without equal rights, no full citizenship without representation, and an equal voice in our democracy. This resolution is clear. Democrats will oppose efforts to weaken citizenship in our territories. We will stand with every U.S. territory in defense of our equal rights, and we will reaffirm our party's commitment to finally resolve Puerto Rico's political status. Now, Puerto Ricans have repeatedly chosen statehood. Now, let me remind you that statehood is the only status option that can permanently guarantee the full exercise of our constitutional rights under the U.S. Constitution. No person's citizenship should depend on geography, no American's rights should depend on Congress, and no American territory should remain a territory forever. Thank you, and I respectfully ask that you adopt this resolution.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The chair will now entertain a motion to recommend this resolution for approval. Is there a second? Is there any discussion? The chair will recognize Mr. John Verdejo.
Thank you, Vice Chair. As the son of Puerto Rico, thank you, Chair, for submitting this. I like to bring attention to the second to last, be it further resolved, that upon return to the government majority of the United States, House of Representatives, the United States Senate, and the White House, so on and so forth, I think that portion alone is important because for so long this issue has been kicked down the road, even when we were in power in the United States Senate, House, and the White House. As soon as we get in there, among other things, this is something that needs to be resolved more sooner than later. So, sir, thank you for including that little part, and I am fully support as a son of Puerto Rico. I want nothing but the best for my island and where my last name came from. Thank you for taking this up.
Thank you, Mr. Verdejo. I will recognize Ms. Carol Burke.
Thank you, Mr. Co-Chair, and thank you to my colleague from Puerto Rico. I just want everyone to understand that, you know, listening to Donna Brazil this morning and combining what my colleague Louis is saying this as well, really strengthens our fight for not just citizenship, but everything that we live for every single day. So Louis, yeah, we stand with you, the Territories Alliance. We stand with you in this fight against everything that threatens our birthrights to citizenship, and we want for the DNC, under the leadership of Mr. Ken Martin, who's continued to, you know, fight for us as well, to support this resolution. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll recognize Mr. Otto Lee.
Thank you, Chair. Having served and retired from the U.S. Navy 20 years and in Iraq, I have served alongside many, many citizens and brave soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines from our territories, like Puerto Rico, like Guam, and Mariana Islands, and so many places. These are folks who are more brave in many ways than many of those who have never served. And I just want to say that any attempt to even try to reduce those rights are discriminatory, is racist. I just want to make sure that this party absolutely will not stand for that, while the other party has made jokes and calling it, what, island of trash, things like that. So we know where we stand. And I think it's so important that I thank the representative from Puerto Rico for bringing this up. And we look forward to making that to be the 51st state of the United States eventually. Thank you.
Amen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The chair will recognize Mr. Alonso.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think this resolutions make sure that we stay vigilant, and vigilant because things change. This birthright citizen discussion at Supreme Court was decided by a 63 vote. So the numbers can change. And just like folks say, this is personal. My dad was born in Toledo, Ohio in 1931. And for those of you who've seen history, over 1 million Mexicans were deported in the 30s because of what was going on economically. Amongst those was my dad. He was a U.S. citizen, but my grandparents weren't. Of those 1,600,000 were citizens. So thank you for bringing the resolution. It's personal, but we must stay vigilant. You bringing it to our attention says we remember that number, 63.
Thank you, sir.
And that's why our participation counts. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Any further discussion on this resolution? All right, seeing none, we'll now vote on recommending the resolution. All in favor say aye. Any opposed? Resolution number 26 passes. Thank you. On to number 27, resolution recognizing people killed or abused by ICE and calling for accountability at the Department of Homeland Security. The chair will recognize Ms. Michelle Johnson from Louisiana.
Good morning, committee members. I thank you for your dedication. I commend you all for doing this hard but necessary work. You know, I acknowledge we previously passed a resolution which focused on reforms and that abolition may feel intimidating or radical. I myself used to believe that all ICE needed was reform. After I saw the midnight raid of an apartment complex in Chicago last summer and images of children separated from their guardians and zip ties inside of U-Hauls. But then I started to recognize patterns of gross misconduct. The agents who shot Ms. Miramar in Chicago and claimed self-defense was heard on his body camera saying it's time to take it up a notch. I realized body cameras weren't the issue, weren't the solution. The agent who shot and killed Renee Good was a trainer. I realized increased training was not the solution. The Camp East Montana detention employees who killed Gerardo Lunas Campos, as he repeated, "No puedo respirar," which means I cannot breathe, as they choked him to death, reminiscent of how Black men like George Floyd and Eric Garner were murdered by police, made me realize this is both a culture and systemic issue. The culture rooted in mass deportation now signage at rallies, Stephen Miller's quota of 3,000 daily arrests, and Nazi-style protect the homeland recruitment advertising persisted despite leadership changes. Systemic issues need to be addressed at the root. No amount of tinkering at the edges will make the culture change. DHS and ICE were created in response to 9/11. Prior to this, there were not children in cages or citizens murdered in the street by INS. We absolutely need immigration reform that is both humane and in alignment with constitutional protected rights, but we do not need an agency who treats all individuals, my skin color and darker, like criminals just for existing. Please join me and 76% of Democrats that support abolishing ICE. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Johnson. The chair will now entertain a motion to recommend this resolution for approval. Is there a second? All right, to kick off our discussion, I'll recognize Marge Hoffa from the great state of Minnesota.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. Mr. Co-Chair, fellow Minnesotan Ron Harris, I think the committee has made its position on calling for reforms for this unlawful administration on how it handles immigration enforcement. We've adopted resolutions to reform ICE in the past, including the spring meeting in New Orleans, and we've also just adopted a strong resolution from Chair Martin on the same topic. We shouldn't contradict ourselves by also introducing a resolution that would now call to abolish something that we have well-established track record of calling to be drastically reformed. Given the fact that we've already passed a resolution calling for reforms to ICE, instead of amending this to be the same as other resolutions and passing the same thing twice, I am voting against this. I would encourage my fellow committee members to do the same.
Thank you. I'll recognize Ada Braceno.
Thank you so much. For over a year and a half, how long can we withstand the terror in the streets of this country? People taken from the streets, jailed, killed, and we're having a generation of traumatized families. I have family and friends who are undocumented. I don't trust this organization, this ICE, with my life or anybody else's life. The Trump administration has been really bold in rolling back environmental rules, the Department of Education, cutting health care, and we can go on and on. We need to be bold as well to get rid of ICE, to get ICE out, to keep families safe, to move our country forward is what we need to do, and Democrats need to hear that from us. Today, I heard that there's $20 million being spent on electric shock gloves. Mm-hmm. What else? What else do we need to see? Please join me in voting for this. Kids are growing up without their families.
We're well over our 30 seconds, but thank you so much. I will now recognize Ms. Sandra Lee Williams.
Thank you, Co-Chair. I have a great deal of respect for Ms. Johnson, and thank you for your words. But I don't have a lot of trust and respect for what we're seeing in this country. Whether it's ICE, you know, there was a time when DOGE, D-O-G-E, was brought about, and now it's gone. So if ICE is eliminated, they will just come back with something to replace it. I think sweeping reforms is what is needed, because no matter what the name is, the treatment is inhumane, and that is what we need to focus on. So thank you very much. And I recommend that you do not vote in favor of this.
Thank you, Ms. Williams. I will go over to Mr. Roberto Alonso. Oh, no? Okay. Apologies. I will go to Ms. Cunningham Skirnick.
In the month of June, ICE detained over 45,000 people and placed them in detention centers around the country, moving them around so their family and lawyers could not find them. This is inhumane and wrong, and I will admit to you, this is an issue I've moved more to the left on, because what we see daily happening in all of our communities. And there's no end in sight. Like Ada Porceño just said about these gloves, they constantly are looking for ways to torture and to hurt people, many of them citizens, but that doesn't matter. You don't treat human beings like ICE is doing, and I will support this measure today.
Thank you. And again, apologies. We got a long stack, so I'm going to be pretty tight on this. And it's not because I don't agree or disagree with the comments, but want to keep us moving and make sure everyone's heard. I'll recognize Mr. Strader.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I will be supporting this resolution in full form without any amendments, specifically to the item that discusses abolish ICE. I am fully aware that this body has passed resolutions reforming ICE. I voted for them, but I'm also here today to vote in alignment with my state Democratic Party. The Texas Democratic Party has passed multiple resolutions, both at our state convention and by our state Democratic Executive Committee, to abolish ICE. And today I ask for you to consider this resolution, vote for this resolution in full form and with that item. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Strader. Next, I'll go to Mr. Schultz, followed by Ms. Beal.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. When we considered the similar resolution at the last meeting, and I certainly think this falls into the category of resolutions and topics that we can discuss twice, I shared about how my mother brought her naturalization certificate to my wedding. She's been here from El Salvador since 1981. She's been a citizen for 25 years. And when a government agency requires a mother to bring her naturalization certificate to her son's wedding out of fear that she's going to be kidnapped and deported, that sort of organization should not exist. So I support this. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Stoltz.
Hi, Stephanie Beal from Colorado. When you read this resolution, it is primarily about the individuals detained in ICE custody and their treatment. There is a section, the second to last, be it further resolved, that said the release of all people held in immigration detention so they may pursue their cases while free without carve-out or conditioning on criminal history. I actually am not a fan of that wording, and I have worked out a friendly amendment with the offer to change that wording where we do acknowledge individuals that have legal cases against them go back through the correct process with all due process. So I would move that amendment be put up.
All right. Do we have the language of that amendment available? Can you pull it up and show it on the screen?
Sorry, would you remind me what?
It was emailed to Party Affairs.
I have the language, just where it's supposed to go.
So it's in the second to last, be it further resolved. It's the really long one. And it's it's the first in the list of the things that they want in it. So it's like halfway through.
Wow, you can't see any of that.
Yeah, exactly.
Right there?
Yep.
All right, the motion on the floor right now is to move this language, this amended language into the second be it further resolved clause. The new language reads, the release of all people held in immigration detention except those with pending criminal charges or an unresolved criminal history requiring adjudication, whose cases shall be promptly referred to the criminal legal system and its due process protections, with any further detention determined by a criminal court and located in a criminal justice facility rather than civil immigration detention. Do we have a second for that motion? All right. Any discussion for the amended language, not the overall resolution? Any discussion? All right, seeing none, we will vote on including this amended language. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? All right, the language has been properly amended. Back to the original motion and topic of discussion. I will go to Mr. Mata, followed by Ms. Pickens.
Thank you. As a son of someone who came here from Central America, who still has family and friends who are not documented, this issue is important, and our message needs to be loud and strong. And we have passed resolutions that talk about massive reform, and I think for our message to be strong, our message has to be consistent. So I would ask the members of this committee to vote no, though I do thank the author for their work on this.
Thank you, Mr. Mata. Ms. Pickens, followed by Ms. Dannenberg.
Thank you. In looking at the language, I agree. We need to be consistent in our messaging. We need to be very careful in how we address this. I applaud the drafting of this resolution. I think the content is very important. And I would propose a friendly amendment to hopefully satisfy some of the concern of those who are opposed to the conflicting language, and that is in the very first be it resolved on the second page, and just replacing abolishing with completely restructuring. We all know that ICE is under the Department of Homeland Security, and abolishing ICE is not going to get rid of the conduct, but a complete restructuring of the people who are in charge, which is Department of Homeland Security, might actually be a resolution that we can all get behind. And then in the very last, be it further resolved, I mean, I don't know why we're only sending it to the Democratic leadership. I think everybody needs to get it.
All right, so for clarity, are you moving to
I'm proposing a friendly amendment to change the word abolishing to completely restructuring. And if friendly amendment is not allowed, then I would propose an amendment.
Okay. The friendly amendment then, I guess, goes to the maker of the resolution to accept or not that friendly amendment. Ms. Johnson.
The friendly amendment is to change abolish to restructure.
Completely restructure.
I think completely restructure is the same thing as reform. I think it's semantics. So personally, I would be against that.
All right, the friendly amendment's not accepted, but
Then also move it to change the word abolishing to completely restructuring.
all right. It's been moved and seconded to amend the language from abolishing to completely restructuring. I don't know where that is in the, we'll find it in there though. Which resolve clause was it?
He's on it right now. It was the top of the second page.
All right, this particular amendment has been moved and seconded. Any discussion on this specific amendment? Mr. Strader.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I won't be voting for this amendment, and it's quite obvious that I won't be. I didn't vote for a very similar amendment at our last meeting. I feel that abolish ICE is where we need to be at, especially my state party that has voted for it multiple times, that language. So I'm against the amendment and ask for you all to also oppose the amendment. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Strader. The cue that I have is Ms. Dannenberg. This was on this amendment, or was this for the?
I'll go ahead and make my comment, which will be for both. It was actually relevant. It's actually relevant to this amendment, so I can,
Sounds good.
I can combine it. You can take me off the other one. So I mean, again, I think that when we look at this idea of reforming or even completely restructuring, I just cannot trust this administration. I think that what we have found is that any sort of reform isn't enough. In Washington State, we passed what should have been a simple law that they cannot wear their masks. They still wear their masks. I think that this is an administration that is going to protect people who will break any law, any restructuring, anything we try to do. And at this point, it needs to be abolished. And if something is going to be restricted, it has to be under a different administration that is really going to follow, all these things we said before about life, liberty, pursuit of happiness, 250th, all of those other things that we said. If we believe in that, it has to be for everyone. It has to be for everyone.
Thank you, Ms. Dannenberg. Next in the queue is Annalisa Swan, followed by Ms. Millie Herrera.
Yes, thank you. So I will vote against this amendment and to keep the language as is. I mean, the rot runs real deep with this administration, and they said they were going to try and curb their abuses, and they haven't. We still see people being killed and abused. And really, this is a paramilitary force that they're putting on our streets. It's not an immigration enforcement, it's paramilitary. So I'm going to vote to keep it as is.
Thank you, Ms. Swan. Over to Millie Herrera, followed by Nathan Schultz.
Thank you, Mr. Co-Chair. I want to address both the general and the amendment. From the amendment, I fully support abolishing it. We already have an organization, an agency, which is Customs and Border Patrol, that has the ability to perform the duties of immigration reform. It is a duplicate organization. ICE is a duplicate. It is, unfettered. Those dollars can be used to provide health care for the rest of the nation. And also, I just want to make, a personal point of personal privilege in the sense that I'm an exile. I arrived in this country when I was 11 years old. I now carry a copy of my naturalization certificate in my car. I have instructions for my daughter if I am ever arrested that, to look for me. And we live in fear. I became a naturalized citizen in 1975. I have contributed to this country, as so many of us, with or without legal papers. And we live in fear. No matter what we look like, we live in fear. And this agency needs to be dismantled and removed immediately.
Thank you, Ms. Herrera.
Mr. Chair, Co-Chair, I move that we suspend the rules to extend this meeting because we are over. Are we not, or did we? I know I was a little late coming in. Did we establish a time limit, being that we are over already on this?
We're okay. We're okay on time.
Okay.
Yep, we can keep going. Yeah, and I'll pause really quick just for point of personal privilege. Truly appreciate people sharing their personal perspectives and being vulnerable and opening themselves up to these stories and talking about fear. That is not an easy thing to do in front of a bunch of people. I don't want folks to feel like the debate over these resolutions is a debate over their lives, but this is also deeply personal. And so I just want to hats off to you all for continuing to be vulnerable in this committee, in this process, and let's continue to encourage people to feel safe enough to do so. With that, over to you, Mr. Schultz.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Words carry weight, and we could restructure all day long and tear it down and build it up from the bottom up, but as long as it's called ICE, that word will have weight. That organization has no respect, it has no dignity, and we can make it so it's no longer the roving MAGA secret police, but no matter what we do, communities will always be scared when they hear those three letters. It's important that we recognize that, and that no matter what we do, we recognize the damage that has been done to our communities by this organization. Abolition is the only way that we can acknowledge that, and I will be opposing the amendment for that reason. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Schultz. Next, I will go to Ms. Yvonne Reeves-Chong.
Okay, I hate to be kind of the wet blanket here, but we're doing what Democrats often tend to do, which is engage in an internal Semitic argument when the fight is external. At the end of the day, whether we come out of this meeting with abolish or completely restructure, the only kudos we're going to get are from a portion of our base, and the only fire we're going to get is from another portion of our base. We've said where we stand, how we are. Now, I would strongly suggest that we get to the business of winning races so we can make the policies that make a difference.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, Terry Pickens, I withdraw my amendment, my motion.
All right. The amended language, the motion for the amended language has been withdrawn back to the main motion on the table, which is adoption of this resolution. In the queue, I have Harini Krishnan, followed by Oscar Mata.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chair. In the past, I will say that I have certainly moved on this resolution from the past meeting, and having seen the chaos and devastation unleashed on our communities, I think this resolution is exactly what we needed. At the end of the day, this is a resolution passed by the Democratic National Committee. It does not have any legal binding on the DHS, but what it does do is send a message to voters who have moved left on this issue. It doesn't matter what state you live in this country, voters are asking for us to hold ICE accountable and ICE out. So I think I have moved on this resolution, and I think this resolution is exactly what we need to send a message that as a Democratic National Committee, we do not stand for this.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Krishnan. Mr. Mata.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that we all know whatever comes out of this decision, ICE is not going to be abolished by what we decide here today. You know, we have to make sure that our message is strong, and I think the verbiage of ICE is sending a message to folks that are already with us and already voting with us, and we need to make sure that we can win in November, and when we take the White House and take over Congress, we can move forward on massive reform.
Thank you, Mr. Mata. Is there, yes, I'll recognize Mr. Christensen.
Yeah, I just want to echo the comments from Mr. Mata and from Vice Chair Reeves-Chung. I think at the end of the day, Chair Martin has been very clear that the role of the Democratic National Committee and the Democratic Party as an ecosystem is to win elections, but it's to win elections to change people's lives for the better, right? We all in this room care deeply about this issue. I think that's clear from everyone's comments. And that's why we unanimously passed Chair Martin's resolution on this subject at the very beginning of our conversation today. That's a resolution that we can win elections on, right? We can win elections on talking about how we care deeply about this issue, but we're also not going to abolish ICE. It's something that this group, this body, the DNC does not have the power to do. So I would encourage everyone to vote no on this. We have a very strong resolution already at the beginning of this meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Christensen. Is there any further discussion on the resolution on the table? All right, we will go for a vote. We will go for a roll call vote.
Ladies and gentlemen, you do not usually have roll call votes, so let me tell you what will happen. Those of you who hold a proxy, wait until the proxy's name is called. So we'll be recording that vote to the proxy. So don't vote your proxy when you are called, please. Now, do I need to review the proxies that you hold? Okay. Ms. Adams?
Yes.
Ms. Adams votes yes. Mr. Alonso? Mr. Alonso votes yes. Mr. Bagby? No. Mr. Bagby votes no. Ms. Beal?
Yes.
Ms. Beal votes yes. Ms. Briseno? Yes. Ms. Briseno votes yes. Ms. Burke? Yes. Ms. Burke votes yes. Mr. Christensen?
No.
Mr. Christensen votes no. Ms. Cook? Yes. Ms. Cook votes yes. Ms. Cotton? Yes. Ms. Cotton votes yes. Ms. Cunningham-Skiernick? Yes. Ms. Cunningham-Skiernick votes yes. Ms. Dannenberg? Yes. Ms. Dannenberg votes yes. Mr. Fowles remains absent? Okay. Mr. Hackett's proxy is with Mr. Park.
Mr. Hackett votes no.
Mr. Hackett votes no. Mr. Hawk?
Yes.
Mr. Hawk votes yes. Ms. Herrera? Ms. Herrera votes yes. Mr. Hertel? Okay. Ms. Hoffa? Ms. Hoffa votes no. Mr. Johnson has his proxy is with Mr. Williams. Yes, ma'am. It's Ms. Williams. I apologize. Mr. Johnson votes no. Mr. Jones? Okay. Ms. Kuntz? Ms. Kuntz votes yes. Ms. Krishnan?
Yes.
Ms. Krishnan votes yes. Mr. Lee? Mr. Lee votes yes. Mr. Lemke? Okay. Ms. Mast? Ms. Mast votes yes. Mr. Mata? Mr. Mata votes no. Mr. Merrill's proxy is with Ms. Hoffa. Mr. Merrill votes no. Mr. Neary's proxy is with Ms. Kuntz. Mr. Neary votes yes. Mr. Park?
Yes.
Mr. Park votes yes. Ms. Pickens? Ms. Pickens votes yes. Ms. Reeves' proxy is with Chair Harris.
Ms. Reeves' proxy was instructed to vote no.
Ms. Reeves votes no. Ms. Reeves-Chung? No. Ms. Reeves-Chung votes no. Ms. Schaefer? No. Ms. Schaefer votes no. Ms. Shackelford's proxy is with Ms. Cotton. Ms. Shackelford votes yes. Mr. Stoltz?
Votes yes.
Mr. Stoltz votes yes. Mr. Strader? Yes. Mr. Strader votes yes. Ms. Swan?
Yes.
Ms. Swan votes yes. Mr. Townley's proxy is with Mr. Mehta. Mr. Townley votes no. Mr. Verdejo?
Claro que sí, yes.
Mr. Verdejo votes yes. Ms. Verdi's proxy is with Chair Brajano. Ms. Verdi's proxy.
I'll abstain.
Ms. Verdi abstains. Mr. Vilches Santiago's proxy is with Mr. Zaxon.
Mr. Santiago votes yes.
Mr. Sagiado votes yes. Ms. Williams? Ms. Williams votes no. Mr. Woodard? Still absent. Mr. Zaxon?
Yes.
Mr. Zaxon votes yes. Do the chairs wish to vote? Okay. Neither chair wishes to vote. If we correctly did this, the yes vote is 25, the no vote is 12, there's one abstention, and I recall that 2 people are still absent, or 1 left.
All right, resolution. First, thank you, Helen, for walking us through that. This committee throws a lot at you, so I appreciate that you help us figure this out. Resolution number 27 has been adopted by the committee. All right, on to resolution number 28. Resolution denouncing Trump's OMB's efforts to inject White House political priorities into and reduce the role of expert panels in federal grant-making decisions. The chair will recognize Mr. Lawrence Zaxton for brief remarks.
Thank you, Mr. Co-Chair. I would note that Deborah Cunningham Skurnick and Jason Park co-wrote this resolution. I hope this one's a little bit less contentious than the last. The Office of Management and Budget has promulgated a regulation which essentially says that political appointees should be making federal grant-making decisions. Scientific panels and other experts should not. I think that we as a party believe that federal grants should be given to states, institutions, and other recipients based on their merit, not based on the political slant that the particular administration has. And this resolution seeks to implement that, and it seeks to urge Congress to use its power to intervene and prevent this from remaining an applicable standard. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Zaxton. I will entertain a motion to recommend this resolution for approval. Is there a second? Is there any discussion on this resolution? Yes.
I want to thank Lawrence Zaxton and Jason Park for their work on this with me. For me, this was very personal in that I don't think the American people know what's going to hit them in the months to come. It's going to be even Trump supporters. I think they're living in fantasy land if they think. What they're doing is destroying jobs, destroying research on cancer and Alzheimer's and so many different things. So I ask you all to please support this afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Cunningham-Skurnick. Any further discussion on this amendment, or I'm sorry, this resolution? All right, seeing no further discussion, we'll now vote on recommending the resolution. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Resolution number 28 passes. On to number 29, resolution condemning the Trump administration for denying food assistance to over 42 million people. Susie Shannon here. Oh, it's all right. Time won't start till you talk.
Hi, I'm Susie Shannon. I'm the chair of the DNC Poverty Council, and this resolution comes from the DNC Poverty Council board. Last year, if you'll remember, the Trump administration cut off 42 million people from SNAP benefits, and the courts had to restore those benefits. The permanent cuts, though, to SNAP benefits now have left 1 million children without access to food assistance, and the current proposal is to cut WIC, which is food assistance for pregnant women, for toddlers and preschools, to cut their food vouchers from $26 a month down to $10 a month. The Trump administration has been a disaster for low-income communities. They are cruel, and we think the Democratic Party should be on record saying so.
Thank you, Ms. Shannon. I will now entertain a motion to recommend this resolution for approval.
So moved.
Is there a second? Any discussion on this resolution? Yes, Ms. Beal.
I'm just noticing that the second to last, therefore be it resolved, calls on the DNC to fully fund SNAP, which we don't do. Can we add like reaffirms our commitment to call on Congress to fully fund staff? Can we add those 3 words?
I'll take that as a friendly amendment. So
that's good for us, yeah.
Can you just repeat it one more time so we get it right?
That the Democratic National Committee calls on Congress to reaffirm its commitment to fully fund staff.
Well, I mean, if you say, okay, that's fine.
Does that work?
Yeah, except Congress right now is controlled by Republicans, and they are not committed to this at all. I mean, it's their budget reconciliation law that has led to these cuts. We could say Democrats in Congress.
I'm gonna say that's calls on Democrats in Congress. Does that work for you?
Reaffirms its call to Congress.
Yes.
The DNC committee reaffirms its call for Congress.
Okay, how does this read to you? Therefore be it resolved that the Democratic National Committee reaffirms its call for Congress to commit to fully fund SNAP and WIC benefits in the United States.
That's fine.
That maintains the spirit for you?
No, not at all. It's,
Okay.
yeah, that's great.
All right, we'll accept that as a friendly amendment. Any further discussion on the overall resolution itself? Seeing none, I will call for a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, resolution number 29 carries.
Thank
We have-
you.
Thank you. We have 3 more resolutions, and then we have our commemorative ones, so hang tight, we're almost done. Number 30, resolution condemning the culture of corruption surrounding Donald Trump and the MAGA movement and calling on Democrats to hold ourselves to a higher standard. The chair will recognize Milan Van Dam from Maryland. I think Milan left. That's okay. Oh, nope, okay. If you're going to write these meeting resolutions, you got to sit a little closer, brother.
Is this on? Okay. So thank you to all members of this committee, especially. There's been a lot of discussion today, so I'll try to keep this quick. But essentially what this resolution covers is that we're right to call out this administration's corruption, as this resolution does, and at the same time, the resolution asks us to actually live up to the standards on insider trading and dark money that are consistent with the DNC platform and the views of the vast majority of both Democrats and Americans at large. Voters are exhausted by a system where the wealthy play by different rules and where they can't trust their politicians and trust that their politicians are actually working for them. So we don't win that trust just by being better than the other side, and that's what this resolution is really about and why I'm calling for your support.
Thank you, Mr. Van Dam. I will entertain a motion. I'm sorry. Is there a second? Any discussion on the resolution? All right, seeing none, we will vote on recommending the resolution. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Resolution number 30 passes. On to number 31, supporting efforts to pull back the curtain hiding major changes in the law and promote transparency in Supreme Court decisions by requiring reasoned explanation of, quote, shadow docket, end quote, rulings. I'll recognize Mr. Lawrence Zaxton for brief remarks.
Thank you, Mr. Co-Chair. The far-right supermajority on the Supreme Court has increasingly relied on its emergency or so-called shadow docket to make incredibly consequential decisions. We saw that in a number of cases, whether that was the immigration stops based on ethnicity, the authority of the president to discharge members of independent agencies, the upholding of mass firing of workers, the upholding of deportation of immigrants to countries with which they have no connection, and many others. This practice needs to come to a stop. Congress has 2 bills, 2 companion bills that are called the Shadow Docket Sunlight Law, which try to create greater visibility into the decision on these cases. And this resolution calls on our committee to denounce the use of one-paragraph orders without explicit explanation, to call on Congress to enact legislation like I've just described, and also to share those resolutions with all Democratic members of Congress and nominees. We need to pull back the curtain, hiding major changes in the law, and promote transparency in Supreme Court decisions. This Supreme Court's totally out of control, and anything we can do to rein them in is important. And for that reason, I urge us to adopt this resolution, Mr. Chair.
Thank you so much, Mr. Jackson. I will now entertain a motion to recommend. Is there a second? Any discussion on the resolution? Seeing none, we'll move to a vote. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Number 31 passes. To our last resolution before commemorative, number 32, a resolution calling for a national commitment to end homelessness and opposing the criminalization of poverty. I will recognize Ms. Susie Shannon for brief remarks.
Hi. So this resolution also comes from the DNC Poverty Council. Basically, the Trump administration has been trying to derail a lot of programs to provide permanent housing for our homeless community while pushing programs to criminalize people just for being homeless. Just because someone is homeless or has does not mean that they are criminals. And we are asking for just very reasonable solutions that have worked in other places in the United States and in Europe. To address homelessness and not to try to criminalize people for their condition.
Thank you, Ms. Shannon. Entertain a motion to recommend the resolution. Is there a second? Is there any discussion on this resolution? Seeing none, we'll call for a vote. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Resolution number 32 carries. Thank you all so much. We also received 14 commemorative resolutions which were sent to the DNC members in the Secretary's 14-day mailing. Now I would entertain a motion to approve these resolutions. Is there a second? Is there any discussion on the, yes, Mr. Alonso.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Real quick, I know we're going to pass it as a group. I just wanted to particularly point out number 5. Ms. Sylvia Collins, precinct chair, passed away in an explosion in Dallas, Texas. But I think she exemplifies the participation of many underground workers that work within the Democratic Party, like we talk about throughout the resolutions of remembering. So I'll be voting for the group, but which I particularly point out Ms. Collins. That was presented by one of our members, Selena Vasquez. I think she's at another meeting right now. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Alonso. Yes, Ms. Reeves-Strong.
I will be brief. I do want to thank Texas for sharing Deneen Barslow with us. She left a legacy in our state that we will miss, and I'm looking forward to her daughter kicking ass in her Missouri House seat.
Thank you, Ms. Reeves-Strong. To Mr. Schultz.
Thank you. I just want to call out number 6 for State Representative Liz Conmey from North Dakota. It was so jarring because Liz was at our meeting in New Orleans to get the news soon thereafter that she tragically passed away in a plane crash. And I know how much she meant to our friends in North Dakota, in particular the good chair from North Dakota. So just want to call that one out, as so many of us got to enjoy Liz in New Orleans.
Thank you, Mr. Schultz. Any further discussion on this package of resolutions? All right, seeing no further discussion, we will now vote on the motion to recommend all 14 commemorative resolutions numbered C1 through C14 for approval by the DNC en bloc. All in favor of that resolution say aye. Any opposed? All right, that carries, and I will now pass the mic over to my co-chair, Yoli Bejarano.
Thank you, Co-Chair Harris. This concludes the business that we have before us today. Thank you all so much for your thoughtful consideration of all the resolutions, and thank you for your added time. I know that we went a little over, but very important. And so we truly appreciate your commitment to this committee and to our party. Following today's meeting, staff will prepare the committee's report containing the final text of each resolution as recommended by the committee, including all approved amendments, along with the names of DNC members who signed on to resolutions as co-sponsors. That report will be sent by the Secretary's office to all DNC members prior to tomorrow's meeting and will be presented for consideration and approval at the general session. Are there any questions on today's proceedings? Yes.
No questions. I just want to, as a member from Texas, along with Member Strader, we welcome you to Texas. It's very important, your presence here. and especially because we're right there in the battleground stages. We've got great candidates, we've got great turnout. I know we're going to probably be seeing that by Friday and Saturday, but again, welcome. This is very important to us. You're highlighting Texas, which is one of the things we've been wanting to do. Your presence shows that kind of kindness and willingness and attention you're giving. We appreciate the attention. Thank you.
Thank you for your hospitality. So thank you again for your diligence and thoughtful work today. I also want to thank the staff from the Office of the Secretary of Party Affairs, the research team, the communications team, and the DNC General Counsel's Office, the IT team. There's a big group, big team, and the operations team. There's really a lot of hard work that goes on behind the scenes to make a meeting like this happen. I also want to thank our court reporter, the technical support team, and our wonderful parliamentarian, Helen. All right, so I'll now entertain a motion to adjourn this meeting. Is there a second? All in favor say aye. Opposed say nay. Nay. The ayes have it. This meeting is adjourned.